Hey, YouTube and F and True followers. Brian Gracie,
JC Styles.
and we are here with our review for Smackdown. We're not going to really go in depth into the match card. We're just going to talk about the biggest happenings of the night. We are also going to talk a little bit about the 2011 Hall of Fame and just kind of the general state of wrestling in this video.
Definitely. First off, we had Smackdown last week. We saw Wade Barrett jump in after Big Show's match, during Big Show's match, and kind of screw him out of the chance to fight for the #1 contender at the Royal Rumble. Then we had some big developmental after Monday Night's Raw into Smackdown. So I think let's what the fans our viewers would like to hear about that.
Yeah, exactly. So we see Barrett kind of get banished from Nexus last week on Raw. Then we see him appear on SmackDown last Friday night and he attacks Show. So you're trying to figure out, okay, is he just trying to make a name for himself in SmackDown now? Because obviously he's left Raw because he's lost his position of power there. So there was really no answers. Then we come to Monday Night Raw. We see CM Punk in the Nexus, and they begin a series of initiations. David Otunga, Michael McGillicuddy, and Husky Harris were initiated into the new Nexus, which we will go a little more into depth in a minute. But Justin Gabriel and Heath Slater were not.
Yeah, their initiation was they had to beat the holy hell out of each other with Singapore Canes, and turned around and they didn't really want to do it because they were Nexus buddies. Then they looked at CM Punk and they kind of looked at each other and looked at the Canes. And then CM Punk was like, oh, you're going to turn around, you're going to hit me. I think that would have been the perfect point to be like, all right, you know what? Crack him in the face with the cane and then walk out. And then, I think that would have been a little bit better because at least they would have been at it. We knew that they definitely would have been at a Nexus.
Yeah, it was kind of left open-ended. I mean, we really didn't know if they were in or out of the group at that point. And then you got to look at it this way. Now we're left with this group on Raw, who is pretty much Nexus only in name. I mean, now you have CM Punk as the new leader, who was not an original member. Now you have McGillicuddy and Harris, which only joined after the Hell in a Cell pay-per-view.
Yes.
And Otunga, he's an original member. Give him that. But it's David Otunga, for Christ's sakes.
Oh, you mean David Otuna, as CJ Styles from ADTV Wrestling called him the other night? David Otuna?
He'd digging his face in that tuna.
Yeah.
But so we're left with this new Nexus, which is literally the new Nexus because there's one guy on my shirt in the group still.
Yeah.
And then we go to SmackDown. We go to SmackDown and we find out that the WWE is the NWO all over again.
Yes, it definitely is because now after a match Wade Barrett had with the Big Show.
Correct.
They Slater and Gabriel come running out, basically jumped on the Big Show, and then on top of that, you had Ezekiel Jackson come running out, and pretty much at this point, it's like, all right, what's going to happen? Is he going to team with Show? Lo and behold, he's actually teamed with this new group on SmackDown, the Nexus Blue brand as they called it, and we're kind of left with this little taste in our mouth to be like, okay, so. What are they going to call themselves? Are they still going to be Nexus? Are they going to change their colors from yellow and black to blue and black or blue and yellow? What's going to happen? Because
Wade Barrett did come out. He debuted new theme music from the information me and JC have received. He's got a new video package as well. It seems like the Nexus We Are One music is still going to stay with the Raw-based faction.
Yes.
Which
I want to just stray away from the topic for a second. It really pisses me off as a Nexus fan because the fact is that this always happens. Like something big will happen and we'll latch onto it, and then it's like, okay, then it's gone because me and Brian are Friday morning going to get our WWE tickets for March 18th. It's called WWE's Raw Road to WrestleMania. It's a house show on Friday night, March 18th. And I was actually hoping to go see and be able to see
at the XL Center.
At the XL Center, which is
Hartford,
formerly known as the Hartford Civic Center.
Correct. There's been fantastic events held there.
Give a brief rundown. We've had No Way Out. We had the famous No Way Out
Well,
2000.
why don't you just tell the fans what you've seen at the Hartford Civic Center?
Okay, I've seen at the Hartford Civic Center. I've seen Smackdowns. I've saw the Corporation jump The Rock. I've seen the Undertaker dark gothic funeral wedding actually when they tied Stephanie McMahon to the
April of '99. Watch your tapes.
To the Taker cross and tried to have the dark wedding when Austin came out and basically helped bring Vince's daughter back to him. I saw Vengeance 2004 in that arena. WrestleMania 11 was in that arena, which I thought was kind of weird because that arena is so small and doesn't really hold that much. But I guess at that time WrestleMania was big, but it wasn't as big as it was today.
That's when the popularity started. I mean, WrestleMania 1, 2, they were at this high point. They started to get this dip, and then they pick up and dips. I mean, it's anything in life, your cash flow, your success, anything that you look at, pro wrestling, it's ups and downs.
Yeah. And me and Brian are going to record a video while we're picking up our tickets. Whether it'll be on my my BlackBerry or Brian will bring his Kodak camera. It doesn't really make a difference. Also, like I was saying, the whole situation with the whole, liking something and then going to see it and then it changes at the very last minute. When I went and saw TNA a couple of years ago, the Main Event Mafia was huge. And then I was so hyped up to go see it. Then by the time they came to Connecticut, Angle was out with a tweaked neck, so he was taking time off. And by the time at this point, the Main Event Mafia was completely gone. Also, speaking of the Main Event Mafia, I do have a video up. If those who haven't seen it, check it out. The link will be in the just check our video. We'll also put a link up on this video so you guys can see it.
Do a quick plug real quick. Actually, two quick plugs real quick. First, ADTV Wrestling. Any of you subscribers that have not seen them, you guys have to see that. We've been talking about them all the time. They are fantastic. Me and JC one day hope to be, something like the product they've been able to create for the wrestling fans out there. And also, big shout out to Antoine Dillard. His link will be in the description box below as well.
For his actual YouTube channel, and we will also give you his website where you can contact him and he could design a intro for you.
For you guys out there that are really serious about this, he does charge a small fee. It is very fair, though, for the work that he provides. Check this guy out. Get into conversation with him. I mean, if you want to take your page to the next level, I think the most logical step is to get some graphics work done. And, yeah.
And just to, sum up everything, we're going to see the house show on March 18th. We're getting our tickets. We're going to hopefully be sit front row.
So any of you guys from Connecticut, if you didn't know, now you know.
Yes. I believe there was a couple of people that you actually didn't know that or subbed to us that actually made it to the Wallingford, Connecticut TNA.
Exactly. There's this one kid out there. I can't remember his hand off the top of my head, but I remember walking by him, and he had a World's Heavyweight Championship belt, just like JC's, and he had the white leather on it. I'm like, man, that kid had such a nice belt. So, day later, I get a comment on the TNA video I posted. I'm like, wow, what a small world. Everybody's just checking out each other's stuff. Funny enough, that video's already got 250 views on just some footage from the house show, so that's pretty neat. If you guys haven't seen it, check it out.
Hall of Fame induction time. Shawn Michaels was inducted Monday night. From what the information that I've read,
will be inducted. He was picked.
He was picked. He has his spot. This is kind of a sour subject for a lot of people on YouTube because the fact is that there's a lot of people who want to see a WCW Hall of Fame. But the thing is, though, the problem with the WCW themed Hall of Fame is it's either trying to get the talent to show up, like Sting, for example. Sting is still in contract with TNA, but depending on if he gets signed with TNA for another 1-year term contract, we ain't seeing him inducted this year. We'll probably see him inducted the following year. Arn Anderson is then locked to be inducted into the Hall of Fame. It's not 100% guaranteed, but from the information I read, he will be. It's just all the matter of when. They were going to induct him as the Four Horsemen, but getting all the guys. Tully, Magnum TA, I think passed away. Ric Flair's over in TNA, so getting him.
Tully, Arn, Ole.
I think Ole was inducted into the Hall of Fame.
You need J.J. Dillon.
Yep, J.J. Dillon.
That's a lot of players that you'd have to bring to the table, and I mean these. You haven't seen them in the spotlight, but are they willing to even come back into the spotlight? I mean that's there has been several people that once they finish with the business, they don't want to be on the tail end of the business anymore. They're just done with it.
Yeah.
And I think that's a life choice that a lot of these athletes do come across and do make. I mean, The Rock kind of had to make that choice. I mean, he loved wrestling so much he had to take himself away from it so he could be successful in other ventures in his life. But touch on what you just said. I made a video earlier in the week. Unfortunately, we didn't get to review Raw together, guys. We did them separately. But I think that's going to be a plan me and JC are probably going to try to do. If we can't sit down, we're going to get some content out to you guys anyway. We don't want to make you guys wait. The wrestling world is just changing so quick.
Exactly.
We'll post it 2 days later. We'll get 60 views. There's no fan engagement. I mean, we want you guys we want to be your one-stop premier source for information. And to touch on what JC had to say, I made a video that kind of touched on the Hall of Fame situation between Shawn Michaels and Sting. And I think picking Shawn Michaels was fantastic. I think he definitely deserves it. It's his time. And I also did get a couple comments on this and people engaging. And, some people believe this Sting was never destined to be the number one pick. He was always going to be, the runner-up, the number 2 guy. Yeah. Or WWE guy was going to be number 1, which, that's okay. I can accept that.
As long as it wasn't some... Okay, before I cut you off, we had a question. I don't remember who it was. I'm sorry for not remembering. There was a lot of people...
Was it the guy that called me a dickhead? Yes, I have a dick and it has a head.
No. We got a comment/question. Top 5 picks who we think deserve to be, and the top 5 who do you think doesn't deserve to be in the Hall of Fame, who already is. There's a handful of people that aren't deserving, like the guy from from Major League, the movie, the commentator. What did he have to do about wrestling? Pete Rose shouldn't be in the Hall of Fame. He should be but I guess because the whole situation that he did, he couldn't get into the Baseball Hall of Fame, so he
never will be in the Baseball Hall of Fame.
Exactly. That football player, someone in the refrigerator, Perry or something, he got inducted because he was the football player who debuted and wrestled in the Royal Rumble and battled Royal Rumble and won it.
Was that the guy that wore the white and blue jersey?
No, I don't know. It was the guy who John Cena inducted in a couple of years back. He doesn't deserve to be in it. Like what Brian was saying, Sting being a runner-up to Shawn Michaels, I would rather, if I was a Sting fan, which I'm not really a big Sting fan, I'm not going to get into that. I would rather have Sting be a runner-up.
You almost said you were going to get into it later.
I rather would have Sting a runner-up to Shawn Michaels than have Sting a runner-up to someone who doesn't deserve to be the number 1 pick. Yeah, but Shawn Michaels he's been in the very first ladder match, the very first Hell in the Cell, the very first Elimination Chamber, the very first Iron Man match. This guy he's not a big muscle-bound heavyweight. He was a 200-pound nobody who came from San Antonio, Texas, and became Mr. WrestleMania, the icon, the legend, the showstopper, the main event.
For those guys out there that don't know, he did make his start with Marty Jannetty in the AWA.
They did win
the Midnight Rockers.
The Midnight Rockers. Then when they jumped over to the WWF, they actually changed the name, and they were just called the Rockers. They were kind of like the Matt and Jeff Hardy.
Then they went back to the AWA because there was some sort of incident in a bar, I believe.
Yes.
Off the top of my head, my Shawn Michaels history is a little rusty right now.
I think it was on the Best of Saturday Night Main Event or on the Shawn Michaels My Journey DVD. He goes to say that they won the WWE Tag Team Championships, the WWF Tag Team Championships, but because of the outcome of the match, they retaped it and aired the retaped version of the match where they didn't win the tag team titles. So the people who were there that saw the event live saw the Rockers win the tag team championships, but only to see the version that aired on TV them not winning the tag team titles against the Hart Foundation.
That was very common place in the days where television was not nationwide. If you could believe it, guys, I know a lot of you younger fans out there probably don't know that much about the NWA, but I'm going to give you just a quick 1-minute history lesson. Wrestling used to be very territory-based. There was different territories that controlled different segments of this country. When Vince McMahon bought out the WWF from his father, he took the company national, which was never done, and he stepped on a lot of promoters' toes, and he got a lot of death threats because of this. Excuse me, I'm stumbled on my words there. And so it was something that was never
and nearly bankrupt the company, which at the time got renamed to the World Wrestling Federation. Right before he met Linda, his wife, Vince, Linda helped Vince turn around. So right now, if it wasn't had for Vince and Linda meeting, Vince wouldn't have been able to come back from the bankruptcy, and we wouldn't be here right now.
Well, we probably would have gotten a little bit different of a product, I'm sure, if there was a product at all. But the thing, JC's got a very valid point there. But the thing about it is that Vince did something that has never been done before, and to be honest, I don't know. I got kind of off subject, and I don't. We're talking about the AWA, weren't we?
No, we were talking about how at the time Vince was the very first person to take the promotion to all over the world.
What was I trying to relate that to? There was a reason I was trying
territories, death threats.
Territories, death threats, but there was something else I was trying to relate that to.
I'll let you think about that for a second.
Sure. If I don't get back to it, guys, basically the whole point is there used to be these territories. Vince was the first one to take it nationally. Go
ahead.
I got it. Light bulb. The whole point is when JC was talking about the Rockers' title reign and how it was not televised. This used to happen a lot. They would drop the belts, for 1 or 2 days at a time, pick them back up when there was not a television present nationwide like there is today. That's why we went into the territory system and this, that, or the other. But why don't you tell them what you got to say, and we'll start closing this up.
And like I was saying about the whole Hall of Fame thing, it doesn't make a difference who gets inducted, this year. There's not going to be other Hall of Fames. Sting, okay, he's
to interrupt you, but I think the one reason Sting and the WCW guys were pivotal this year is because this is the 10th year anniversary of the closing in WCW, and this WrestleMania is taking place in Atlanta, Georgia, which was the home headquarters for WCW, Time Warner, which was its parent company.
I would want, like I said, there's so many guys out there, that deserve to be, Sting, could he be one of them? Yes. But the thing is, though, a lot of the wrestlers weren't, a lot of the guys stayed strictly to WCW, unlike guys like Ric Flair, unlike guys like Arn Anderson.
Well, even Ric Flair, I would more identify him with the NWA than anything else. Crockett Promotions, pretty much.
Arn Anderson, he came over to the WWF for a little bit and then kind of went back to WCW. There's a handful of guys that...
Arn has really stayed loyal. I mean, he's worked backstage for years.
He's worked backstage for years. He's also provided a lot of insight of the business to the younger guys in the locker room. I remember tuning into a Monday Night Nitro and watching Dean Malenko and Rey Mysterio fight for the Cruiserweight title on numerous occasions and sit there for 10, 15 minutes and enjoy the match. Why isn't Dean Malenko being nominated for being overlooked? He was the man of 1,000 holds. He was probably one of the top 5. He's like one of the top 5. I just thought
of Jericho dropped the list to 1,004 hold.
He's being overlooked. Everyone's spending so much time about, are they going to get Sting? Are they going to get Sting? Are they going to get Sting? Induct guys like Dean Malenko, Arn Anderson. There's so many WCW greats that didn't get to the WWE after their brand closed, Sting being one of them. But the fact is that everyone's overlooking everybody else just for one person. And I think that's a slap into the face for a lot of the WCW guys that were there. I mean, it's ridiculous. It really, really is ridiculous that everyone's overlooking everybody just for Sting. If Sting doesn't make it, Sting doesn't make it. And I know me and Brian had a discussion the other day, and, he agreed with me about when I said, well, don't you think that there's guys out there that, if they can't get Sting, they should focus on other WCW greats like Dean Malenko?
And how about Luger? How about Arn? How about Ole? How about Tully? How about, there's...
J.J. Dillon.
J.J. Dillon. How about Saturn? How about, like you said, Malenko? I mean, the list goes on and
William
on.
Regal. Well, William Regal he wasn't WCW. He's not a Hall of Famer. But he doesn't for argument's sake.
No, but why can't William Regal be inducted? To be honest,
I think the reason why is because he's still an active.
He's still an active competitor. Yeah. And then another good suggestion. I was kind of racking this in my brain.
You know what? We're sitting here and we're trying to name a lot of people who were in WCW, and I got the Rise and Fall of WCW DVD right here, and I just spilled the bag of empty chips, but who cares?
All over me, of course.
All over Brian, of course. Let's see. Brian, you can take the floor while I run through this real quick. I'll just do a brief scan through.
Thank you.
So, go ahead.
What would you like to do?
Talk about anything. Anything you want. It's. I mean, as long as we don't go 32-20, 32-54.
Wait a minute, it is our show, so I guess we can't talk about anything we want.
Yes.
Well, you know what? I dug out 2 feet of snow today, and usually we've been standing and doing these reviews, and guess what? I can't stand right now. I pulled my back so bad. So guess what? I just talked about whatever I wanted to. Now, JC, name some WCW legends.
How about Barry Windham?
Barry Windham, 4 Horsemen.
How about the Midnight Express or the Rock? I think the Rock and Roll Express was the Rockers, wasn't it?
No.
The Southern Boys. There's 2 guys in the wrestling business that aren't wrestling anywhere. How about the Steiner brothers?
I don't know. I don't think Scotty ever rubbed Vince too well.
How about Vader?
One person that
Rick Rude hasn't been inducted into the Hall of Fame.
One person Vince McMahon will never induct into his Hall of Fame. Shane Douglas, better known as the Franchise. He was the Dean Douglas in WWF. I mean, remember when they did that skit when they were in TNA and they were trying to meet him backstage?
Yes.
That was great.
How about... Oh, Eddie Guerrero's already in there.
But I mean,
how about Chris Jericho? Juventud Guerrera. Diamond Dallas Page.
Goldberg.
Booker T. Lance Storm.
Lance Storm, for Christ's sakes.
If I could be serious for a moment.
Just for a moment.
There's so many people that everyone's overlooking for one friggin' person who wears black and white face paint. Get off the high horse. If they can't get Sting, oh well. There's a long list of people that deserve to be into the WCW wing of the Hall of Fame.
And by the way, for you guys that have actually sat through this video, I'm just leaning back. JC is not a whole foot taller than I am.
And this video is 23 minutes and 30 seconds long.
So I think
I think we've covered it. I think we've covered pretty much everything possible.
You got wrestling, you got humor, and you even got a sob story about my back. So
and you even got the Hall of Fame.
And hey, our Nexus shirts
are not a classic. Wade Barrett is still forming Nexus.
Unless they're going to call it the... Well, I mean, it's on SmackDown.
I think maybe they should call it N 2.0.
Or how about they got SmackDown and Nexus, so they'll call it the Sexus.
I don't know. But you know what, guys? Like I said, there's so many things that could be done with the Hall of Fame this year. So I think SmackDown might be picking up somebody for an induction for the Hall of Fame.
Now we know if one group says the Nexus and the other group becomes the Nexus Wolfpackers. I'm just kidding, guys. I'm kidding.
It's ridiculous, but let's see what happens.
I mean, they need to do something to help SmackDown out, so I think this is the way to do it. I mean, it's been getting better, but it needs to get a lot better.
Yes. SmackDown is Friday night. We'll see what happens. Unfortunately, I have to work, so I'll probably catch the replay, or I'll probably just borrow the tape from Brian. And, guys, I think this has been it for F and True Wrestling for tonight. I think it might be F and True Wrestling out for the rest of the week because Well, obviously we gave some of the spoilers out for Impact.
Yeah,
earlier in the week.
we gave out Impact, which we usually don't do, but I mean it was just such a big happening going on. Very very exciting. We finally get to see Matt Hardy hopefully have a chance of being happy somewhere.
Yeah,
because I mean he's gotten shitted on for so many years,
and
it's,
he
it's
gained
unfair.
a little bit of weight during his offseason. Oh, yes.
What's with the Tyler Rex haircut?
Speaking of signing a contract with the company, there's a video on the net of Shane Gregory Helms or
Hurricane Helms, as you guys would know him as.
Gregory Shane Helms.
Gregory Shane Helms.
On video. The video was
Gregory.
only about a minute and 20 seconds.
And did you notice the European title sitting in the background?
Yes, I did. And he sat there and he says, well, usually there's someone here, there's a viewer or an attorney or a lawyer present to the witness the signing of the contract. He goes, basically, what better witnesses than, all the wrestling fans out there? He signs a contract. He doesn't say to where. We just got to stay tuned to his videos on YouTube. I have a feeling that he's probably going to wind up going over to TNA, and the reason why is
it
because
just makes sense. All of his boys are there.
You got Shannon Moore's over there. Jeff and Matt Hardy are over there. He'll go over there and wrestle. It's only fitting. TNA is doing really big things with signing a really big talent. I think the biggest thing this year they'll probably sign is signing
Matt Hardy.
Matt Hardy. And possibly bringing back the main event Mafia to feud with with Immortal.
But to be honest, are they going to be able to get Nash back?
You know what? To be honest with you, I think of another giant that could fill Kevin Nash's shoes and do it without even breaking a sweat. And his name is the Blueprint, Matt Morgan. And I'm going to leave it on that note. I'm JC Styles.
I'm Brian Crazy. This has been F True Wrestling. And
we're going to go freeze our ass off.
Sounds good.